I want to tell you something that took me a while to actually believe. You're not bad with money. You're not lazy. You're not undisciplined. You don't have a spending problem or a mindset problem, or whatever else the internet decides to blame broke young people for this week. The math is just genuinely stacked against you, and I can prove it. Not with opinions, with numbers. Real research from real economists that somehow never makes it into the conversation when older generations are busy telling Gen Z to work harder and stop buying coffee. So give me 10 minutes, because by the end of this, you're going to understand something about your financial situation that most people spend their entire lives never figuring out. And honestly, it's going to make you a little angry. It should. Here's where the story starts. For most of the 20th century, the blueprint actually worked. Study hard, get a degree, find a stable job, save money, build a life. That wasn't just advice your grandparents gave you because they were out of touch. It was a documented statistical reality. Harvard economist Raj Chetty spent years researching generational mobility in America. What he found was this: 90% of children born in 1940 earned more than their parents. 90%. Upward mobility wasn't the motivational poster. It was the default outcome of just showing up and doing what you were told. The system genuinely rewarded the blueprint. Your grandparents weren't naive. Your parents weren't wrong. For decades in a row, the promise held. And then, it didn't. Nobody sent an announcement. Nobody held a press conference. The rules just quietly changed, while the advice stayed exactly the same. In the 1970s, a median home cost 3 times the average annual salary. 3 times. Your grandparents could work for a few years and own something real. Today, that number is 8 times. Same Raj Chetty research. By 1984, just one generation later, the number of children earning more than their parents had already dropped from 90% to 50%. Half. Gone. In one generation. And it has been falling ever since. Here's the part that gets me though. The people whose parents gave them the blueprint, the study hard, get a degree, work your way up blueprint, they followed it. It worked for them. They got the house at 3x salary. They got the pension. They got the stability. And then when they finished playing, the rules changed. And they kept giving the same advice. Not because they were malicious, because from where they were standing, the game still looked the same. Okay, here's where I need you to actually pay attention. Boomers are 20% of the US population. They own 51.4% of all wealth in America. That is $83 trillion. Gen Z and millennials combined, more people, younger, the entire future of the workforce, own 10.5%. The average Gen Z graduate from the class of 2022 started adult life with a negative net worth of $31,571. Not zero, negative. Before they bought anything, before they made a single financial mistake, they started the race already underwater. That number was negative $17,347 for the class of 2019. It nearly doubled in 3 years. Gen Z pays 31% more for housing than millennials did, even after adjusting for inflation. 46% more for health insurance. I'm not editorializing here. These are Federal Reserve numbers. This isn't a struggling economy distributed equally across everyone. This is a documented, measurable transfer of wealth from one generation to the next, from people who haven't started yet to people who are already done. And the generation that got out before the door closed is still telling you to just work harder. But here's the thing nobody talks about, and this is the part that got me. The robbery doesn't stop at money. When everything feels expensive and out of reach, when rent takes half your income and saving feels pointless because inflation eats it faster than you build it, your brain enters what psychologists call scarcity mode. And scarcity mode is not just feeling stressed. Research shows chronic financial stress reduces cognitive capacity by the equivalent of 13 IQ points, constantly available for decision-making. Gone. A generation under permanent financial pressure makes worse decisions, takes fewer risks, thinks shorter term, stays exactly where the system needs them, working, spending, scrolling, never accumulating. The financial trap created a psychological one. And the cruelest design feature of the whole thing? It makes you blame yourself. Not working hard enough, not saving enough, not disciplined enough. You take the full weight of a systemic failure and carry it as a personal one. And while you're busy optimizing your budget and feeling guilty about a $5 coffee, the structural reasons your parents could afford a house at 25 and you can't go completely unexamined. That's not an accident. A population busy blaming itself never looks up. So here's what actually works. And I want to be careful here because this is not a hustle harder speech. The young people genuinely building wealth right now have one thing in common. They stopped trading time for money and started building ownership. Federal Reserve data confirms it. Private business assets make up a larger share of Gen Z and millennial wealth than any older generation. Not inherited stocks, not property handed down, things they built, things they own. Here's why that matters right now specifically. Every generation before us needed capital to build something worth owning. Money to start a business, money to reach people, money to create and distribute. That barrier kept most people permanently on the wrong side. The internet removed it. An audience, a skill, a product, a system that generates income whether you're awake or not. These things cost nothing but time and focus, and they're the only path out of a system specifically designed to keep you renting, borrowing, and just comfortable enough to never actually revolt. The salary won't fix it. The budget won't fix it. Ownership will. Not because it's easy, because it's the only thing the system can't touch before you earn it. The robbery was real. The numbers prove it. You didn't fail the system. The system failed you on purpose. But a generation that actually understands what happened to them and has the tools, the internet, and enough anger to do something about it, that's the most dangerous thing to a system built on keeping people just comfortable enough to stay quiet. And that's exactly what Undept is here for.